Chris, we have a massive Cincinnati startup record to share today. Something big happened again this week.
I feel like every week it's like there's a new record.
Which is biggest one.
Yeah, new record. But this one is for Cincinnati, and a Cincinnati startup, 80 Acres Farms. They smashed a fundraising total with a landmark $160 million Series B raise. And this 80 Acres Farms, which is actually out of Hamilton, which is just north in Butler County for all my Miami University grads, is a kind of indoor vertical farming ag tech company, which is growing produce and all sorts of ag products inside, which is like really, really cool. And if you've ever kind of nerded out on the future of agriculture and food, like this indoor trend is right up there.
Absolutely vertical. And it's much more ecologically friendly, correct, to grow vertically from that standpoint?
Yeah, and they're using like, artificial intelligence, all these like crazy techs in order to make it happen. And it, frees up time. And it's just like all this, and when you do vertical, you can kind of go up like buildings, right? And so you don't need as much space. Well, it's cool for a lot of reasons, but also, this type of wave of things, it can happen 1 year round. So you have fresh produce year round. So that's like a really cool benefit. And we need that for nutrition and everything. But also as we think about, the future and as like populations continue to grow, well, keeping produce close to populations means you can do this in urban centers.
Absolutely. Do they bring flying cars down from Dayton to weed the plants on the very top?
Well, maybe that's the next, where it's like Kroger's doing the flying deliveries. So then they partner and, watch out Jeff Bezos, where 80 Acre Farm's going to grow it indoors. Kroger's going to pick it up and fly it in a drone to your house. So,
right.
You heard it here first. That's the future.
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, it just speaks to, the momentum that Ohio has. And to that end, let's talk about TechCred, something we've covered quite a bit recently. So just fresh news this week that the TechCred application period that closed at the end of June, 263 employers were approved for funding, and that resulted in 3,149 technology-focused credentials. So 3,100 new freshly minted credentials. On the whole, close to 1,500 employers have taken advantage of this year, resulting in close to 30,000 tech-focused credentials issued through this TechCred program. And the funding continues, and there's funding for an additional 20,000 credentials. So, put your money where your mouth is. Ohio is very serious about the role of technology in the future of our economy. So that's great to see fresh news from the Lieutenant Governor's office.
Yeah, and TechCred, workforce, that's among the biggest concerns, right up there, number 1 or 2 for most employers that I talk with across the state is, having that workforce. We talk about 80 Acre Farms. Well, you need people with those types of tech skills in order to run facilities like that. So, more good news. But going on for story kind of 3, we actually have a few more that I'll work in today. So we're going more than 3. But a cool story out of Crane's Cleveland business about 2 great tech companies up in the Cleveland area, Higher Medical and Axuall. And they're partnering and collaborating on clinician credentialing. And so as you think about, how do we make sure in hospital systems and others, how do these healthcare practitioners get credentialed so they can come in as quick as possible, provide patient care? These 2 startups are working together. They have an investor locally in the university hospitals ventures, which is really cool. And so, this is kind of taking blockchain technology, but also we've talked a million times of what is Ohio good at? A moment ago, agriculture, ag
right.
tech, health tech, these types of things. So really cool to see what they're doing up in Cleveland between Higher Medical, Axuall, the team, Manoj, Charlie, Jeff, and others. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's good momentum to see. I have another Northeast Ohio plug to make before you make your next plug. Looks like Team Neo is presenting their economic opportunities, their misaligned opportunities, how racial inequalities lead to skills gaps in Northeast Ohio. Just check it out, right? So they often put on great, insightful webinars and content. So what's your last one, or what else do you have today?
I did a couple, so I'm gonna go real quick. We've talked previously about Peloton and their big investment in Ohio, building it right here in America, but in Ohio. So they just broke ground earlier this week. Lieutenant Governor Husted, Governor DeWine, folks from Jobs Ohio, Peloton themselves. They were up there in Northwestern Ohio doing this. So that's really cool. That's more of a manufacturing, but this is kind of tech and digital and media and subscription. And so software as a service. That's awesome. That's been happening this week. And also I want to plug another one. This is kind of a cool resource that's happening up in Cleveland, but this happens elsewhere. So AT&T is working with PCs for People to support digital inclusion for Cleveland families. And so right now, kind of in the run up to a new school year, they are taking donations of computers and tech equipment, in all sorts of conditions that they're going to help refurbish and get in the hands of students and others to help them prepare for the school year and make sure that, students and families, they have the technology that helps them get a real 21st century education. So kudos to AT&T, PCs for People. I believe they're working with the Cuyahoga County Public Library on this. But back to school, but you got to have those computers.
Yeah, close the digital divide. I mean, access to technology and broadband is one of the key drivers of our economy, especially for kids, because we're still in this. Things are still moving, in an uncertain direction, right. And the more we can get technology into households and keep kids, keep their momentum moving forward, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So, any other rapid fire updates?
I mean, there's a ton. It's kind of funny. Like, yeah, we were like coming in. You sometimes do we have enough to talk about? There's way too much. So that's a great problem to have.
Exactly. So, well, Chris, another great week in the Ohio tech scene. We will see you next week. Thanks for